Hello, my name is Wallace-Dickson. Today I want to talk a little bit about things to look for when you're going to buy a new sewing machine. We teach a lot of learn to sew classes and beginners here at A Common Thread, and one of the biggest questions is, what do I look for when I buy a machine? And it's confusing because oftentimes what people are talking about are lots of fancy stitches, lots of buttonholes, and what I want to cover today are some of the things that make your job easier when you're sewing, the tools that will make things easier. As a sewist, I don't use a lot of fancy stitches all the time, but I do want some things that make it easier no matter what my project is. One of the most important things that I look for in a new sewing machine is a sliding speed control. This makes it easier for me to concentrate when I'm sewing because I set how fast my machine will go. No matter how hard I press on the foot pedal, it's only go to a certain speed. And let me show you an example. No matter how hard I press on the foot control, it's set, the machine will not go any faster, but I can speed it up or slow it down as I need to. This makes it a lot easier, especially if I'm trying to concentrate, because I'm not having to keep my mind just focused on both my foot and hands at the same time. The next thing that I like a lot when I'm sewing, and is an easy tool, is called needle up and down. I can lower or raise the needle on my machine by just pushing a button. And I can arrange for it to stop in the needle down position so that when, for example, I am going to turn a corner, I stop, lift up my presser foot, and just turn my fabric. This makes it a lot easier to be precise. The other thing I can do is then when I reach a point where I want to stop, I can bring that needle up easily and just move my fabric out of the way. A third thing that I really enjoy with the machine is traditionally when I'm going to do a locking off or tying off my seams and stitches, I would sew forward and backwards and forward again. And while this works great, it leaves kind of a thick line of stitching. And if I'm doing something with stitching on the outside of a jacket or a pillow or something that's going to show, I like to use what's called a securing stitch, where all I have to do is push the button. It sews in the same place 3 or 4 times and then moves forward. So it ties off the thread for me at the end of my seam, but again, that looks just like regular stitching. I don't have a start and stop place that shows up. Now, one of my favorite next features is needle position changing when I'm sewing. Most machines, your needle position is right in the middle, and that's great for about 85% of everything you sew. But what you're going to want to do is the ability to move the needle to the right or the left. And it is very helpful to be able to do this, so that if I'm sewing right along something and I want a narrower seam, I can move the needle over. Again, if I want to move the wider seam, I can go over the other side. Now, one of the features on this Bernina is that it has about 8 different functions, places to move the needle, and I use them all. I find it very, very helpful. My other favorite feature on a sewing machine is I like to do buttonholes, but I want to make it as easy as possible. And I've been known to buy a machine simply because it made easy buttonholes and I didn't have to worry about it. A lot of machines will offer 5 or 6 different types of buttonholes. Realistically, you're going to maybe use 1 or 2 of those in the lifetime of that machine. What I want instead is for it to be very easy to use and to be able to repeat that same buttonhole if I'm using it like on a blouse or a duvet cover, and I'm going to make a lot of them, I want the ability to memorize that buttonhole and repeat it over and over for my project. So look for the ability to make a buttonhole that's easy and that will also memorize it so you can repeat it multiple times. Let me show you how easy this buttonhole is to make. So on my first buttonhole, and I can speed it up, and it tells me when it's done. I like that. Then once my buttonhole is done, I can make as many of these at the size as I want without changing anything. It's set, it's in the memory of my machine, and it will just keep making the same size. It makes my job a lot easier. I want to thank you for watching this video today, and I hope it was helpful. We are planning more in the future. Stay tuned to our website at commonthreadsewing.com.